All right, Brent Porcio, TopVelocity.net. How to throw 100 miles an hour, right? Pretty popular question today since it's becoming more common and it's a big factor in Major League Baseball. We got this, the guy Jordan Hicks, 21 years old, already up in the big leagues because more than likely throwing 100 miles an hour has a lot to do with it. So how do we do that? Obviously genetics has a lot to do with it, but you need to understand, for example, here at Top Velocity, we have a leaderboard that really shows the difference between developed high velocity athletes and genetic high velocity athletes. Genetics is a part of all of it, but these are the guys that haven't really spent a lot of time in here developing themselves, but had a lot of ball speed, were guys that were just relying a lot on their genetic potential. So when we did their measurements, they had just as good as measurements as the developed guys. They just hadn't spent the time in the weight room building those measurements. So then we have all our genetic guys that have, the elite 10-yard sprints, broad jumps, vertical jumps, power cleans, back squats, bench press. So that's how you got to look at it. Of course, your genetic potential puts you here. You do have potential to go above that. How high above that, nobody really knows. But here's the thing, if you just rely on your genetics, you're limited. There is more you can go above your genetics, which is what we've proved a lot with guys that they've even made it up to 100 miles an hour out of our training. So like I said, that's what it takes. It's going to take learning how to develop the athlete first. So follow me. We're going to take you down where most of the guys are doing our Olympic approach, where they do all the lifts to increase power to weight ratios, strength to weight ratios. If we can get those to an elite level, better chance we're going to throw 100 miles an hour. On top of that, also, we go into anaerobics, even all the shoulder work that baseball has been doing for years. But here's the thing, if you can't build elite power to weight ratios, strength to weight ratios, the chances are that you're going to get on the mound and move through the elite movements of a high velocity pitcher is very slim unless, like I said, your genetic potential already gave you the ability to do that. So this is where we build the 100 mile an hour fastball. Are you doing that? Are you in an approach that will make you an elite power athlete, highly mobile power athlete? It's the other big part of it, mobility. We have a really intense mobility approach to where we're optimizing every range, every joint, so we can move force through as much range of motion as possible, which is really the formula to throwing 100 miles an hour. And then when we get into the drill, so you'll see these little lanes here where we do our proprietary med throws and target throws, which we measure those velocities, but we also have the speeds, the time it takes for an elite pitcher to throw 100 miles an hour. So I'm going to take you down to here to show you some of our formulas. Right here is a system, what we call our 3x velocity system, and we have Brian Ellington, Raul Alcantara, two guys that we filmed at a AAA stadium to capture their biomechanics and get these are 98 mile an hour pitches, but these are 100 mile an hour guys, and we know how fast their hips are moving, peak hips, the average speed of their hips, mean hips, the distance their hips are traveling in their delivery, how fast their trunks are going, peak trunk, the average of speed through their trunk, mean trunk, the trunk distance, the height and the body weight of the athlete. The reason this is valuable, this is what we have to do as athletes. If we're this size, if we're a similar size, what we have to do through our delivery to throw 100 miles an hour. So we can, in our drills, use things like a Tendo unit, or use our new motion capture Bluetooth app-based systems to measure our hip speeds and our trunk speeds. And you see these are our guys training this and developing their hip and trunk speeds to get it to the speeds of a high velocity pitcher, particularly that 100 mile an hour.